There are three simple words that have the power to completely change your life forever. These aren't magic spells that you need to chant for hours. These aren't secret mantras that only spiritual masters know about. These aren't complicated techniques that require years of practice or expensive courses. These three words are connected to something much deeper. They're connected to who you really are at your very core, beneath all the noise and confusion of daily life. For example, if you want to find true peace and happiness in your life, if you want to stop feeling anxious and worried all the time, if you want to feel loved and worthy exactly as you are, the truth is, you need to understand these three words from your heart before anything real changes on the outside. Otherwise, you'll keep searching everywhere else, thinking the answer is in the next relationship, the next job, the next purchase, or the next achievement. You'll keep jumping from one solution to another, from one guru to another, from one self-help book to another, thinking that the problem is that you just haven't found the right method yet. But here's what most people don't realize. The reason nothing seems to work long-term is because they're looking in the wrong place. They're trying to fix their outside world when the real transformation needs to happen inside first. They're trying to change their circumstances when what really needs to change is how they see themselves and how they relate to life itself. The first truth about these three words is this: if you don't understand them deeply, if you don't let them sink into your heart and become part of how you see yourself, nothing in your life will truly change for good. You might have temporary improvements, you might feel better for a while, but you'll always end up back where you started. This is why so many people feel like they're going in circles, why they feel stuck even when they're trying so hard to improve their lives. This is the reason why some people seem to have this magical touch with life. Everything they do seems to work out. They have this inner peace that doesn't depend on what's happening around them. They seem to attract good things naturally. They don't struggle and fight with life. They flow with it. If you really learn these three words, if you let them become part of who you are, everything you touch will become blessed. Your relationships will improve. Your work will feel more meaningful. Your daily life will feel lighter and more joyful. But here's the thing, this transformation requires something from you. It means you have to be completely honest with yourself about things you might not want to face. It means you have to look at the stories you've been telling yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. It means you have to question beliefs you've carried for years, maybe your whole life. It means you have to stop blaming your circumstances, other people, or your past for how you feel right now. If you're really ready for real change in your spiritual life, if you're tired of feeling like you're just surviving instead of truly living, if you're ready to stop being a victim of your thoughts and emotions and start being the creator of your experience, then this is exactly what you need to hear. I'll also share a simple daily practice that still helps me every single day, something so easy you can start doing it right now, but so powerful it will shift everything about how you experience life. Let me tell you what's really happening in most people's lives. Most people are looking for happiness, peace, and love in all the wrong places. They think if they just get the right job, they'll be happy. They think if they just find the right person to love them, they'll feel worthy. They think if they just make enough money, they'll feel secure. They think if they just lose weight, get fit, or look better, they'll feel confident. So they spend their whole lives chasing these external things. They work harder and harder, trying to achieve more. They jump from relationship to relationship, hoping someone will make them feel complete. They buy things they think will make them happy, but the happiness fades quickly and they need to buy more. They compare themselves to others constantly, feeling either better than or worse than, but never just peaceful with who they are. And our modern world makes this so much worse. We're constantly connected to our phones, scrolling through social media, seeing everyone else's highlight reels and comparing them to our behind-the-scenes struggles. We're bombarded with advertisements telling us we need this product or that service to be happy. We're caught up in the rush of daily life, work, bills, responsibilities, problems that seem to never end. All of this noise and busyness has made us lose touch with something precious, our true spiritual nature. We've forgotten who we really are underneath all the roles we play, all the identities we've taken on, all the stories we tell ourselves about our limitations. We've become strangers to our own hearts. We've lost connection with the peace and wisdom that's always been inside us. For thousands of years, spiritual teachers from every tradition have pointed to the same truth. They've all said in different ways that what we're looking for is not outside us, it's inside us. They've all taught that we already are what we're seeking. We already have access to the peace, love, and joy we're desperately trying to find in the external world. But why don't we believe this? Why does it seem too good to be true? Because we've been conditioned from a very young age to believe the opposite. We've been taught that our worth depends on what we achieve. We've been taught that love is something we have to earn. We've been taught that peace is something that happens when everything in our life is going perfectly. We've learned to identify with our thoughts, especially the negative ones. When we have a thought like, "I'm not good enough," we don't question it, we believe it. When we feel anxious, we think, "I am an anxious person," instead of, "I am a peaceful being who is having anxious thoughts right now." When something bad happens, we think, "Bad things always happen to me," instead of, "This is just one experience, and I can learn from it." This is how we give our power away. This is how we become victims of our own minds. We let random thoughts and temporary emotions define who we are. We let past experiences determine what we think is possible for our future. We let other people's opinions shape how we see ourselves. And the worst part is, we don't even realize we're doing this. These patterns are so automatic, so unconscious, that they feel like reality. We think this is just how life is. We think this is just who we are. We accept stress, worry, and dissatisfaction as normal parts of human life. We've created an invisible prison for ourselves, and we don't even know we have the key. But here's the beautiful truth that these 3 words will help you remember. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not your past mistakes or your future worries. You are not your job, your relationship status, your bank account, or your achievements. You are something much more beautiful, much more powerful, and much more peaceful than any of these temporary things. You are the awareness that observes all these things. You are the consciousness that is aware of thoughts, but is not the thoughts themselves. You are the peaceful presence that remains calm and steady even when emotions are stormy. You are the love that exists before anyone loves you and after anyone stops loving you. And these 3 words will help you remember this truth. They will help you step out of the prison of limited thinking and into the freedom of knowing who you really are. They will help you stop seeking outside yourself and start recognizing the treasure that's been inside you all along. Because when you truly understand these 3 words, when you let them become your reality instead of just concepts in your mind, everything changes. You stop being at the mercy of your circumstances. You stop depending on other people to make you happy. You stop waiting for life to be perfect before you can feel peaceful. Instead, you become a source of peace in chaotic situations. You become a source of love in relationships instead of someone who needs love. You become confident not because you've achieved everything you want, but because you know your worth isn't dependent on achievements. You become joyful, not because everything is going perfectly, but because joy is your natural state when you're not lost in worried thoughts. This isn't just spiritual theory or positive thinking. This is about remembering the deepest truth of who you are. This is about coming home to yourself. This is about discovering that what you've been searching for in a million different places has been with you all along, closer than your own breath, more intimate than your own thoughts. The first word that will change your life forever is the simplest word you know, but also the most misunderstood. This word is I. Now, before you think this is too simple or obvious, let me explain what I really mean. When you say I, what are you actually referring to? Most people have never seriously asked themselves this question, but it's the most important question you could ever explore. Most of the time, when people say I, they're talking about the small I, the one that worries, complains, feels insecure, and is never satisfied. This is the I that says things like, I am stressed, I am broke, I am ugly, I am stupid, I am unlucky, or I am not good enough. This false I believes it is the collection of thoughts, emotions, memories, and stories that run through your mind all day long. This false I thinks it is your past experiences. It believes you are the person who got hurt in that relationship, who failed at that job, who was rejected by those people, who made those mistakes. This I is constantly comparing, judging, worrying about the future, and feeling guilty or angry about the past. It's never present, never at peace, always wanting something different than what's happening right now. When you believe you are this small I, you become a prisoner of your own thoughts. Every negative thought feels personal. Every criticism feels like an attack on who you are. Every setback feels like proof that you're not worthy or capable. You start to believe that your thoughts about yourself are facts, when they're really just temporary mental events passing through your awareness. This is the greatest tragedy in human life, not poverty, not illness, not even death, but this case of mistaken identity. It's like a king who has forgotten he's a king and believes he's a beggar. It's like someone who owns a beautiful mansion but thinks they're homeless because they're temporarily staying in a small room. The suffering isn't real. It's based on forgetting who you really are. But there's another I, your true I. This is the I that is aware of all those thoughts and feelings, but is not the thoughts and feelings themselves. This is the peaceful awareness that has been with you since you were a child, that remains calm and steady even when your mind is chaotic. This is the I that can observe your anger without being angry, that can watch your fear without being afraid. Think about it this way. You've had millions of different thoughts in your lifetime. You've experienced thousands of different emotions. Your body has completely changed since you were a child. Your beliefs, opinions, and preferences have evolved. Your circumstances have shifted countless times, but something in you has remained exactly the same through all these changes. Something in you has been watching all of this happen. That something is your true I. This true I is pure awareness itself. It's like the screen on which all the movies of your life play out. The screen doesn't change whether you're watching a horror movie, a comedy, or a love story. The screen remains perfectly neutral and unaffected. It simply allows whatever wants to appear, and it remains perfectly fine when everything disappears. When you start to recognize yourself as this awareness instead of the content of the awareness, everything in your life shifts dramatically. You stop taking your thoughts so personally. You stop believing every emotion that passes through you defines who you are. You start to have some space between yourself and your problems, which means you can respond to challenges with wisdom instead of just reacting automatically. You discover that underneath all the mental noise, there's a profound peace that was always there. You realize that your happiness doesn't depend on having the right thoughts or the right circumstances. You see that you are already whole and complete, regardless of what's happening in your external world or your internal world of thoughts and feelings. Here's a simple way to start recognizing your true I. Throughout your day, whenever you catch yourself saying "I am," followed by anything, "I am tired," "I am angry," "I am worried," "I am happy," pause for just a moment. Ask yourself, who is this I that is noticing I'm tired? Who is aware that anger is here? Who knows that worry is present? This isn't about analyzing or thinking harder. It's about simply noticing that there's an awareness present that can observe all these temporary states. Just like you can watch clouds passing through the sky, you can watch thoughts and emotions passing through the space of your awareness. The sky doesn't become the clouds, and you don't become your thoughts. When you practice this regularly, you start to see that you're not the victim of your mind anymore. You realize that thoughts are just mental events, like sounds or sensations, and they don't have any power over you unless you give them that power by believing them and identifying with them. You stop being afraid of your own thoughts because you know they can't actually hurt the real you. Living as your true I means you become like a loving parent watching a child play. Sometimes the child is happy, sometimes sad, sometimes excited, sometimes scared. The parent doesn't become these emotions. The parent remains loving and present through all the child's changing moods. In the same way, you can remain peaceful and loving while all kinds of thoughts and feelings move through you. This completely changes your relationship with problems and challenges. Instead of thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start to see difficulties as temporary experiences happening within your awareness. Instead of, "I am a person with problems," you realize, "I am awareness, and problems are just temporary thoughts and situations appearing in my experience." This doesn't mean you become cold or disconnected. Actually, the opposite happens. When you're not lost in the drama of your own thoughts and emotions, you become much more available to respond to life with wisdom and compassion. You stop taking everything so personally, which means you can see situations more clearly and respond more effectively. The second word that will transform your life is AM. This might seem even simpler than the first word, but it contains enormous power that most people never tap into. When you truly understand what AM means, you discover the secret that all great spiritual teachers have pointed to throughout history. AM means you exist right here, right now, in this present moment. Not in the past, not in the future, but right now. This isn't just a concept or philosophy, this is the most practical truth you could ever understand. Because here's what most people don't realize. Your real power, your peace, your joy, and your ability to create positive change in your life only exists in the present moment. But most people don't live in the AM. They live in the past or the future. They spend most of their mental energy thinking about things that already happened, replaying conversations, feeling guilty about mistakes, feeling angry about how they were treated, wishing they had done things differently. Or they spend their time worrying about things that haven't happened yet, imagining worst-case scenarios, planning for problems that may never come, feeling anxious about uncertain outcomes. When you're living in the past, you experience regret, resentment, guilt, and sadness about things you cannot change. When you're living in the future, you experience anxiety, worry, fear, and stress about things that haven't happened and may never happen. Both of these mental habits keep you disconnected from the only place where you actually have any power, right now. This is one of the great illusions that steals people's lives. They think they're living, but they're actually just thinking about living. They're either lost in memories of when they were supposedly happier or fantasizing about when they'll finally be happy in the future. Meanwhile, the only time they could actually experience happiness, right now, is completely missed. But when you truly understand AM, when you anchor yourself in present moment awareness, you connect with the same creative force that made the universe. This isn't spiritual fantasy. This is pointing to something you can directly experience. The present moment is where all life happens. It's where your breath happens, where your heartbeat happens, where love happens, where inspiration happens, where solutions appear. This is why all spiritual traditions talk about miracles happening in the present moment. It's not because the present moment has some magical properties, but because it's the only place where you're actually available to recognize and receive the good that's always trying to come into your life. When your mind is scattered between past and future, you miss the opportunities, insights, and connections that are available right now. When you're truly present, when you're resting in the AM, a different kind of intelligence emerges. Instead of the anxious, worried, problem-creating mind, you access what you might call your inner wisdom. This is the intelligence that knows what to say in difficult conversations, that sees solutions to problems that seemed impossible, that knows how to respond to challenges with grace and effectiveness. Think about the people you most enjoy being around. Chances are, they're people who are present when they're with you. They're not thinking about other things, checking their phone, or mentally rehearsing what they're going to say next. They're actually here with you. This presence is like a gift they give you, and it's the same gift you can give to everyone in your life when you learn to live in the AM. Here's something amazing that you can test for yourself. Anxiety cannot exist in the true present moment. Depression cannot exist in the true present moment. These forms of psychological suffering only exist when your mind is time traveling, either to past events or future possibilities. When you're completely here now, simply aware of what's actually happening right now, there's a natural peace that emerges. So how do you actually practice living in the AM? How do you train yourself to be present instead of lost in thoughts about past and future? The beautiful thing is that it's incredibly simple, even though it might feel challenging at first because we're so used to mental time traveling. One of the most powerful ways to return to the present moment is through your breathing. Your breath is always happening now, never in the past, never in the future. When you notice your mind getting caught up in worried thoughts or old memories, simply bring your attention to your breathing. You don't have to breathe in any special way. Just notice the natural rhythm of your breath coming in and going out. Another simple practice is to feel your body. Notice your feet on the ground, your back against the chair, your hands resting in your lap. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin. Notice any sensations in your body without trying to change them. Your body is always in the present moment, so when you connect with your body, you automatically connect with the now. You can also practice presence by simply looking around you without mentally commenting on what you see. Just take in the colors, shapes, and textures around you without thinking, I like this, or I don't like that, or this reminds me of. Just pure seeing, pure awareness of what's actually here right now. When you practice being present, something amazing happens to your problems. They don't disappear, but your relationship with them completely changes. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by everything that's wrong or could go wrong, you can deal with what's actually in front of you right now. Most of our suffering comes from mentally multiplying our problems, taking one challenge and imagining all the terrible things it might lead to. But when you're present, you can see clearly what actually needs your attention right now. You can respond to real situations instead of reacting to imaginary fears. You can make decisions based on what's actually happening instead of what might happen. This clarity naturally reduces stress and helps you handle life's challenges much more effectively. Here's something you can test right now. When you're completely present, completely focused on this moment, worry simply cannot exist. Worry is always about something that hasn't happened yet. Anxiety is always about imagined future problems. When you're truly here now, these mental activities just naturally stop because there's nothing to worry about in this moment. And in this space of presence, you start to notice something beautiful. There's a natural joy and aliveness that's always available when you're not lost in thoughts. It's not the kind of happiness that depends on getting what you want or having everything go perfectly. It's a deeper contentment that comes from simply being alive, simply being aware, simply being here now. The third word that will transform your life forever is love. But this isn't the kind of love that most people think about. This isn't romantic love that comes and goes depending on how someone treats you. This isn't even the love you feel for your family and friends, though that's beautiful too. This is something much deeper and more powerful. The love I'm talking about is the love that you are, not something you get from other people or give to other people. This is the love that exists as your very essence, as the core of who you really are. When you combine the first two words, I am, with this third word, you get the most powerful truth in the universe: I am love. Most people spend their whole lives trying to get love from outside sources. They think if they can just find the right person to love them, they'll finally feel worthy and complete. They think if they can just make their parents proud, their boss happy, or their friends impressed, they'll finally feel good enough. But this approach never works for very long because it's based on a fundamental misunderstanding. When you're looking for love outside yourself, you're always at the mercy of other people's moods, opinions, and choices. You feel good when they approve of you and terrible when they don't. You're constantly trying to earn love by being perfect, by pleasing everyone, by never making mistakes. This is exhausting and impossible, and it keeps you disconnected from the love that you actually are. But when you understand that you are love, everything changes. You realize that love isn't something that can be given or taken away by anyone else. Love is your fundamental nature, like wetness is the nature of water, or heat is the nature of fire. No one can make you stop being love, just like no one can make water stop being wet. When you know I am love, you stop desperately seeking love from others and start naturally expressing love in all your relationships. Instead of coming to people with the energy of, please love me, you come with the energy of, let me share love with you. This completely transforms how people respond to you because everyone is naturally drawn to someone who radiates love rather than someone who needs love. This love that you are is also the force that heals everything in your life. When you approach your problems, your fears, your old hurts, and your current challenges with love instead of resistance, something miraculous happens. Love doesn't judge or fight, it accepts and transforms. When you bring love to your pain, the pain begins to dissolve. When you bring love to your fears, they lose their power over you. This is completely different from what most people call love. Most people confuse love with need, attachment, or dependency. They say, I love you, but they mean, I need you to make me happy, or I love how you make me feel about myself. Real love, the love that you are, doesn't need anything from anyone. It's completely free and given freely. This love is also the creative power of the universe. When you align with the love that you are, you naturally attract good things into your life, not because you're trying to manipulate the universe, but because love is the most powerful force that exists. People want to be around loving people. Opportunities flow toward people who radiate love. Solutions appear more easily when you approach problems with love instead of fear. So how do you actually live as love in your daily life? How do you make this more than just a beautiful idea? It starts with how you speak to yourself. Most people have a harsh, critical voice in their head that's constantly judging and complaining. But when you remember that you are love, you start treating yourself with the same kindness you would show to someone you deeply care about. This means catching yourself when you're being mean to yourself and choosing to speak more gently. Instead of "I'm so stupid," you might say, "I made a mistake and that's okay, I'm learning." Instead of "I'll never be good enough," you might say, "I'm exactly where I need to be right now and I'm growing every day." This isn't fake positivity, it's treating yourself with the love that you actually are. Living as love also means learning to forgive quickly, both yourself and others. When you mess up, instead of beating yourself up for days or weeks, you can acknowledge the mistake, learn from it, and move on with love. When someone else hurts you, instead of holding on to resentment, you can see that their hurtful behavior comes from their own pain and confusion, not from who they really are. You start helping others when you can, not because you want something back, but because it's natural for love to want to serve and contribute. You might hold a door for a stranger, listen to a friend who's struggling, or simply smile at people you encounter throughout the day. These small acts of love create ripples that spread far beyond what you can see. One of the most powerful practices is learning to see the love in people who are being difficult or unpleasant. This doesn't mean you accept bad behavior or let people treat you poorly. It means you remember that underneath their anger, rudeness, or selfishness, there's a person who has forgotten that they are love too. When you relate to this deeper truth in people, it often brings out their better nature. The goal isn't to be perfect or to never feel frustrated, sad, or angry. The goal is to make love your default response to life. When challenging situations arise, your first impulse becomes, "How can I bring love to this situation?" instead of "How can I protect myself?" or "How can I get what I want?" This shift in approach transforms not just how you feel, but how effective you are at handling life's challenges. And the beautiful thing about living as love is that you get to start fresh in every moment. If you realize you've been acting from fear, judgment, or selfishness, you don't have to wait until tomorrow to begin again. You can simply remember, "I am love," and immediately start expressing that truth, no matter what happened 5 minutes ago. Now, you have all 3 words that will change your life forever. I am love. These aren't just concepts to think about or philosophy to discuss. These are words that point to the deepest truth of who you really are. When you truly understand these words, when you let them become your reality instead of just ideas in your mind, your whole world transforms. You are the peaceful awareness that observes all thoughts and emotions without being disturbed by them. You exist fully in this present moment where all your power and peace reside. Love. This is your fundamental nature, the force that heals, creates, and connects everything. Put them together, and you have the most powerful statement you could ever make. I am love. When you live from this truth, problems stop feeling like enemies and start feeling like teachers. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to remember who you really are and to practice expressing love even in difficult circumstances. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "How can this help me grow? How can I bring love to this situation?" Difficult people stop being obstacles and start being mirrors that show you where you still have room to grow in love. When someone pushes your buttons, instead of getting lost in anger or hurt, you can use it as a chance to practice staying centered in love. This doesn't mean you become a doormat. It means you respond from strength and wisdom instead of reacting from wounded emotions. Every single day becomes a gift, not because everything goes perfectly, but because every day gives you countless opportunities to remember and express who you really are. Waking up becomes exciting because you get another chance to live as love. Going to sleep becomes peaceful because you can rest in the truth of your being. This isn't just positive thinking or trying to convince yourself of something that isn't true. This is about recognizing and remembering the deepest truth about who you've always been. You don't have to become love. You already are love. You don't have to find peace. You already are peace. You don't have to search for your true self. You already are your true self. Here's what I want you to do starting right now. Every morning when you wake up, before you check your phone, before you start thinking about your to-do list, before you get caught up in the day's activities, take a moment to say these 3 words to yourself. I am love. Not just as words, but as a reminder of who you really are. Throughout the day, whenever you notice yourself getting stressed, worried, angry, or sad, remember these 3 words. Instead of getting lost in the emotion, step back into the awareness that you are. Stay present in the moment that you're in, and respond from the love that you are. Watch how this simple practice transforms not just how you feel, but how others respond to you and what kinds of experiences come into your life. And here's something beautiful. When you live as I am love, you give everyone around you permission to remember who they really are too. Your peace reminds others of their peace. Your love awakens the love in others. Your presence in the moment helps others step out of their worried minds and into the aliveness of now. These 3 simple words, I am love, contain everything you need to live a completely transformed life. Not a life where everything goes perfectly, but a life where you remain peaceful and loving regardless of what's happening around you. A life where you're no longer at the mercy of your thoughts, emotions, or circumstances. A life where you're connected to an unshakable source of joy, wisdom, and creativity that exists within you right now. This isn't about becoming someone different than who you are. This is about coming home to who you've always been, underneath all the confusion, fear, and seeking. This is about remembering the truth that you may have forgotten, but that has never stopped being true. You are love itself, expressing in human form, having a temporary experience of being separate so you can remember the joy of coming back together. The choice is yours in every moment. You can continue believing you're just a collection of thoughts, problems, and circumstances, searching for happiness in all the wrong places. Or you can remember that you are I am love, the very awareness, presence, and love that you've been seeking everywhere else. This remembering is available to you right now, in this moment, regardless of what's happening in your life. So let this be your new beginning. Not tomorrow, not when your life gets easier, not when you figure everything out, but right now. Take a deep breath, feel yourself present in this moment, and remember, I am love. Let these words sink deeper than your mind, into the very core of your being. Let them become not just something you think, but something you live, breathe, and express in every moment of your precious life.